the comparison of the calculator and GenAI is one, in my view, that is pointless, useless, time-wasting. To try to take a tool that has an underlying mathematical logic and try to impose it on a complex social setting means that you're not going to get a result that is as reliable as you will get when you use a calculator to solve a mathematical problem. We refuse to append lie to this hallucination that AI does because we say it doesn't know that it lies. But if we're using it for very important tasks, for the generation of knowledge, then that's something that is worth worrying about. If it is a tool that we cannot rely on to consistently give us reliable results, and that we will never get any signal unless we go and double check ourselves, then what do we need it for? Finally, even calculators have rules. A common comment that I get in relation to my AI videos is that we had the calculator and we were forced to accept it. Therefore, we have GenAI and we should accept it within the education space. I think there are some things that are worth understanding fundamentally about what makes calculators different from AI and what sort of implications, therefore, it has for how we should be looking at AI. The first and most obvious thing is that calculators have an underlying mathematical logic, and they were built specifically to solve mathematical problems. So they will give a reliable result, and most of the time we can trust that the result that they give is accurate. GenAI, on the other hand, also has an underlying mathematical logic, but we are trying to expand its use or application beyond the mathematical and put it also or impose it on complex social settings. As someone who has a first degree in applied mathematics and crossed over to social sciences and became a qualitative researcher, I can tell you that there will be limitations in any case, even when we were engaging with social problems with the right mathematical tools in terms of understanding the complexities of the realities or phenomena that we are interested in. So to try to take a tool that has an underlying mathematical logic and try to impose it on a complex social setting means that you're not going to get a result that is as reliable as you will get when you use a calculator to solve a mathematical problem. I think we do also start to see that a lot of these AI companies are now pivoting and trying to sell AI as a useful tool for the mundane tasks because it's proving incredibly difficult to train these tools to deal with complex issues. And it does show up in the quality of GenAI generated work when we are looking at complex issues that we need students to grapple with. And it also shows up when we try to do research and ask AI to complete certain complex tasks for us. So the comparison of the calculator and GenAI within the context of academic writing or university education is one, in my view, that is pointless, useless, time-wasting. The second issue is that with calculators, if you do something fundamentally flawed when you are actually inputting whatever you are punching into the calculator to get an output, it will give you an error message. So you know that something has gone wrong in your steps, and that is the moment that you can trace your steps back and try to figure out what you could have done wrong so that it's going to give you the right output. With GenAI, that function doesn't exist. And we have found a nice way of calling it hallucination when we ask certain things of GenAI and it produces output that is false. We refuse to append lie to this hallucination that AI does because we say it doesn't know that it lies. But if we are using it for very important tasks, for the generation of knowledge, then that's something that is worth worrying about. Whether we call it hallucination or lying is beside the point. The point is that it can give inaccurate results and never sends a signal that something is wrong. So if that is the case, if it is a tool that we cannot rely on to consistently give us reliable results, and that we will never get any signal unless we go and double check ourselves, then what do we need it for? We are probably better off doing the work ourselves and knowing for sure that the output that we generate is based on legitimate, trustworthy sources or information. Finally, even calculators have rules. So yes, the calculator came and it did a lot of wonderful things in terms of reducing cognitive load, and we had to reimagine how we actually taught. But one of the things that happened as a result of that was we do curtail the level at which complex calculators are introduced into learning spaces. We also curtail what kinds of calculators can be taken into the exam room and what sort of information can be saved in the calculators. So this means that they are learning fundamentals that we are protective of, that we don't want to short circuit, because people still have to grasp the fundamentals. They still have to be the thinking machine behind that machine. So for GenAI, exactly the same thing happens. So a lot of the concerns that I raise when it comes to GenAI relate to whether we are short-circuiting the learning process, whether students are being compromised in terms of fundamentals that empower them to become lifelong learners. If that is the case, in the same way that we regulated the calculator, we do need to regulate the use of GenAI. We need to protect the learning fundamentals. So I hope with this video, we are going to put the calculator argument to bed and move on to the more serious issues related to GenAI and what it means for learning and the human intellect, because I do see us as intellectual beings. Happy writing without AI.